Good morning, this is David Wendell with BushcraftonFire, and we're pleased to be with you for another video. I've had a few questions about what is my favorite knife that I carry, and another couple questions about basic knife use and what parts of a knife are. And so I thought today that I would show you a video by answering those questions with the knife that I like the best in my arsenal. The knife that I carry, that I use probably more than any other knife is a large knife, is this Tops Anaconda. It's made in the US by Tops, and this knife was actually it was fashioned by a friend of mine named Ron Hood. When Ron first did the model of this, it was about 12 or 14, 15 years ago, and since then this knife has been used in many areas all around the world, including combat all over the world, Afghanistan, Iraq, and everywhere else that our troops have been. So it's a well-proven knife. It's a time-tested knife. A couple things about this knife real quick. It has a 9.5-inch blade, and the total is 15.25 inch overall length with a 9-inch cutting edge. Now this one has a Tanto Blade, and at first I didn't really like the Tanto Blade, but I've grown to really enjoy this blade. I like it. I like what it does for the knife. It enables me to get in and to do pointed work in stumps or to scrape edges off of roots or things like that. So it really is very functional. On the back of this, I guess they call this a saw blade, but it's really not meant to be a saw blade. What it is this last point right here you can hook in and snap fence wire with. So that's kind of beneficial if you're locked in somewhere and need to get rid of. This blade will cut a little bit, so if I use it on the edge, not straight up and down but on the edge, I can cut a notch with this into a fireboard. Now this is made out of 1095 high carbon alloy steel, and it's heat treated to an RC58, so it's very strong, very hard, which makes it a great chopper. The handle is black linen micarta, and you can see I've well worn this one in, and it comes with this combat nylon ballistic sheath. So it's a great little knife, and what I wanted to do was show you a couple things. Now on this sheath there's a little place for my fire steel. I carry a sharpener in here, so that gives me a little extra carrying space, but that's outside the scope of this video. What I want to do is take some time and show you how this knife works. So let's go over to the woodpile and do a little bit of work. Now one of the nice things about this knife is you can see it's got a full tang on here. The tang comes back to the back, and then there's a place to tie off a lanyard. I do use a lanyard with this knife to keep it if it slips out of my hand from going into the bush. I've heard a lot of different theories on this. Oh, that knife could come back and cut you. I've never had that happen in many hours of knife use, so I'm not too awful worried about it. The scales are removable. You can use these with an Allen key, which I carry inside of my kit, and so there's a couple of different handholds on this. The first is a regular handhold, and this would be used for basic small cutting things. Let's say I've got a piece of spruce here. Okay, I don't really need a lot of power on this. I just need to cut through this, so I can just go through there and cut some off. Now if I need to get a little thicker, let's say we're getting down to the 1 inch here, I've got a finger hold here and a secondary handhold. So now I've got more leverage on this knife, giving me a deeper chopping angle, okay, where I can take off, say, up to a 1/2 inch. Further back, I can move my hand all the way back. You see there's 2 finger lengths in front now, and I can really get some power on this knife to go through, say, up to 1 inch. That's some spruce. A lot of you guys will be working with spruce, with pine. How about some hickory? Let's see what we can do with this hickory. Now I'm going to choke up just a little bit because I can use more power that way, and go through this hickory, 1 inch of hickory, in just a couple strokes. Another thing this knife is really good for is batoning. Because it's so long, I can get through pretty thick pieces of wood. I can baton down to any size that I need, and the knife is going to split my wood out for me nice and quick. Now my son was saying before this video started, he said, "Dad, you're going to have a hard time with this because this hickory is dead hickory." And if you guys know very much, I got a lousy chopping block here, guys. In fact, it just fell apart. We're going to try and work with it for the video. If you know anything about hickory, the harder it is, the older it is, the harder it is. So let's try this again. Two shots, and we're just about through there. Didn't chop any out. But there you go. So again, this is a great little chopper. But what about for up close and fine work? Would I carry this as my only knife? You bet you I would. Let me show you why. Okay, what I do is just take a piece of elm off of here. I'm just going to real quickly take the branches off of here because I want to show you some up close work. Now this knife is very, very sharp, so I'm being a little careful. It's easy to get cut on up close work if you're not careful. Let me show you here. Now a safe way to cut, I probably showed you guys this before, but out to my side, take off, okay? You'll notice that there's 1, 2, 3 finger hole positions in here. I can choke up on this knife in the choil, and one of the interesting things about this knife is that that choil is actually the balance point for the knife. Now when Ron designed this, he did it that way for a reason, because when you're doing up close work, say skinning out, okay, you've got to have good balance on your knife if you want. You can't come back here and do this work with a big long front end. You've got to have balance to do small work. So I can get in here and I can do very fine work with this knife, as you can see here. How about notching? Well, sure. Come in, make my first cut, and you see I keep my finger outside the blade. This blade is razor sharp. And just come back, and again, a little bit of fine work, and there's our notch, say for a figure 4 or for some kind of a tent peg. So it doesn't take very much to be able to use this. And again, I'm using this up in the air. I'm not using it on a block, what I normally would do out in the bush. But you can see that being up close, being able to skin, being able to do fine work with this is a real benefit. So again, if I only had one knife, this would probably be the knife that I'd take. I have some other knives from Tops which I really like, such as the Tom Brown Tracker. But this knife would definitely be my knife of first choice. Well again, that's the Tops Anaconda, an incredible knife. Those of you that were asking, you know, what was my favorite knife, there you go. And how to use that finger choil, what is that in there for? I hope that I explained a little bit of that to you. Again, we're all done. Put that back in its sheath, the only safe place for a knife. This is David Wendell with Bushcraft on Fire. We appreciate your viewership, all your support. Thank you so very much for all the kind words that you offer, the encouragement. We'll see you again on another video, and until then, have a great day.